G ATIS has been my aeroplane since 2005. And throughout the whole time that I've owned the aeroplane, it's been very special to me indeed. You see, G ATIS was once owned by my childhood hero, Neville Duke. He was one of those heroic 1950s test pilots, and of course held the world speed record.
And tonight or tomorrow? I should think tomorrow morning, because the wind is not dying down this evening.
And here it is, the very aeroplane in which Neville Duke flew the world speed record. But in the 1950s, light aircraft looked like this. They hadn't changed since the 1930s, being made from tubes covered with fabric. But designer John Thorpe had other things in mind. The Piper Cherokee was to be an all-metal design, and that new design was to endure for over half a century. In fact, it's still in production now. The Piper Cherokee's simple metal construction is incredibly reliable. It's incredible to think that such a 50-year-old design is still efficient today. The logbook shows that G ATIS first flew in the UK on November the 2nd, 1965. And strangely, the flight manual was written in England by Beagle Miles Aircraft. The first owners of G ATIS were Queen's University Belfast, and it was based at Newtonards, where this picture was taken. The next picture we have is of G ATIS at Oxford, when probably it was owned by Neville Duke. It's great to look in the logbook and see his name inscribed. Our research has showed that G ATIS is a very special aircraft. Unlike most aircraft of the time, it was corrosion-proofed before assembly. And we've kept up the corrosion proofing to this day, with ACF 50 pumped into the airframe regularly. The best thing about G ATIS is the instrument fit. It includes that superb Garmin GNS 530, which is very similar to GPSs which are fitted in commercial aircraft. It's IFR approved and is coupled to the instrument landing system. It's sometimes joked that you can fly an instrument approach into a farmer's field. The interior has that classic 1950s sports car look. In fact, some parts, like the trim lever, are said to come from Chrysler sports cars. With 4 comfortable seats and a big luggage locker, G ATIS is ideal for touring. The engine is that bulletproof 0320, which is approved to fly on UL 91. It has only 600 hours in the logbook. So what's G ATIS like to fly? Well, I think it's superb. Back when we first had it, G ATIS was rigged very carefully indeed, so she doesn't seem to have that Cherokee tip stall. But everything in G ATIS is about touring. A few years ago, we took a trip to the Myrna Dam to recreate the dam trail. It was amazing to fly around the Myrna Dam and imagine that perhaps we'd busted a hole in it. I think Malcolm perhaps was less patient.
We've arrived all the way from England to Germany.
Bombed the dams?
Yes, we've gone round the dam about 5 times.
Of course, the joke is, can't see the join. Well, we looked very carefully and we could see the join. To me, this was the trip of a lifetime, and I guess I'll never forget it. Blokey trips out are a superb way to spend a summer holiday. A trip at low level to the south of France in a formation of two is just great fun. In theory, we were here for the RSA rally. In fact, it was just a blokey weekend. Home-built aircraft were great, but we stopped off at Chartres on the way back, theoretically, to look at a cathedral, but in fact, just to enjoy the French ambiance. Another great trip was to the Scilly Isles. Our objective was to land on that famous humpbacked runway. And at this point, the passenger bottled out and stopped the camera.
That's the traditional sweaty armpit shot.
That's why we're dressed for the summer.
But as well as blokey trips out, we tried to give something back to the community.
And why these children were given the best day of their lives.
All the cars look like they're little insects, and all the houses like doll's house and everything.
Starlight's about brightening the lives of seriously ill children. It's a day that's supposed to, like all of our programmes, take all the families' minds off the day-to-day traumas of having seriously ill children.
G ATIS is there every year, providing we can make it through the weather. But we tried to do other things as well, such as offering raffle prizes, and we once took David Exley to the Channel Islands as part of his round Britain tour for the Samaritans. And I suppose I am allowed to impress the young ladies, even if they are all relatives. But there are some young ladies who are simply young at heart, and a trip in G ATIS is a great treat. But specially to me, I was able to impress my new girlfriend, now my wife, by flying in G ATIS. Who could not be impressed by a trip to Granville and a visit to the Yves Saint Laurent Museum? And then, on the way back, to drop into Alderney for some sunbathing on a deserted beach, before flying home to be home in time for tea.
Copy India Sierra departing traffic remaining in the Shoreham circuit. Surface wind 140 degrees, 10 knots, clear takeoff. Clear takeoff, Golf India Sierra.
Of course, it's those simple trips out, for the bacon roll at Lashenden, or perhaps over to the Isle of Wight, that take up most of the flying. But whatever happens, G ATIS will always be my aeroplane. It will always be in my heart.